Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unraveling a truly fascinating chapter of history. We're exploring how the Kannada land, Karnataka, was an absolute trailblazer in India's independence movement. When we think about the freedom struggle, we usually focus on the broad, national strokes. But as we dive into this history, you'll see how Karnataka wove an incredibly rich tapestry of resistance. We are talking about everything from fierce royal families and grassroots rebellions to the power of the Kannada language and ancient philosophies fueling modern defiance. The Karnataka land didn't just participate in the struggle, it literally helped build the foundation. Okay, let's jump right in. So, think about the tricolor flag that flies all across the nation. You've probably seen it waving at the Red Fort, right? But do you know where that official flag is actually made? What's really surprising is that the only Bureau of Indian Standards, or BIS, certified institution authorized to manufacture and supply the official Indian flag is located right in Karnataka. It's the Kadi Gramadyoga in Hubballi. That is a massive modern-day point of pride, and it perfectly sets the stage for us to understand just how deeply the spirit of the Kannada land is woven into the very fabric of a free India.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering Karnataka's brave royal families, the unparalleled freedom struggle of commoners, Karnataka women's power and struggle, Kannada language and intellectual awakening, inspiration of philosophical principles, and finally, the Mysore Wadiyar's contribution to the Union.
All right, Section 1. Karnataka's brave royal families, centuries of early defiance. Whenever we study colonial resistance, we tend to focus heavily on the 1857 mutiny. But the sheer depth of Karnataka's royal resistance, it goes back centuries. Back in the 16th century, long before the British even established their grip, Rani Abaka of Ulal was waging naval and land battles to completely defeat the Portuguese. She is widely recognized as the first female freedom fighter against colonial rule. Fast forward a bit to 1824, and keep in mind, this is a full 33 years before the 1857 uprising. Kitcher Rani Channamma led an armed rebellion against an early version of the doctrine of lapse, famously taking down the British collector John Thackeray on the battlefield. And in 1857 itself, while many regions just submitted, 24-year-old King Surapura Venkatappa Nayaka and Nargund Babasaheb displayed incredible bravery, taking up arms and striking absolute fear into the British forces in the Deccan.
Moving on to Section 2, the unparalleled freedom struggle of commoners, grassroots power and sacrifice.
While the royals laid that early groundwork, the true engine of the movement was the unparalleled struggle of everyday ordinary Kannadigas, and the sheer diversity of how they protested is just astounding. In 1942, the farmers of Asudu village in Shivamogga didn't just protest, they outright declared themselves a free village and literally set up a parallel republic. 5 brave youths were hanged for this ultimate act of defiance. Meanwhile, down on the coast in 1930, Ankola led a massive 45-day salt satyagraha, which earned it the title of the Dandi of Karnataka. And it wasn't just rural farmers either. Over in the Kolar goldfields, mine workers staged a massive 21-day strike in 1942, deliberately crippling the economic backbone of the British Empire. That is the sheer raw power of the people.
But as you might guess, this grassroots power came with a very heavy price. In 1938, in a really tragic parallel to Jallianwala Bagh, over 30 patriots were gunned down and martyred by the British in Vidura Swatha. And their crime? They simply gathered to hoist the national flag. This horrific event earned Vidura Swatha the solemn title of the Jallianwala Bagh of the South, and it really cements the profound blood sacrifice that everyday Kannadigas made for that tricolor.
This grassroots energy was deeply fueled by the youth. Take Mailara Mahadevappa, for instance. Picture this. He was just 18 years old when he was handpicked to be the only Kannadiga to walk alongside Mahatma Gandhi in the legendary 78-member Dandi March. He later gave his life during the Quit India movement. His story is a perfect representation of the immense pride and unstoppable energy of Karnataka's youth back then. Let's dive into Section 3, Karnataka women's power and struggle, breaking barriers and leading. The women of Karnataka stepped completely out of their traditional boundaries and achieved some incredible firsts. Kamaladevi Chattopadhyay actively convinced Gandhi to allow women to join the Salt Satyagraha, and she was actually the first woman in India to contest a legislative seat. Then there's Krishnabai Panjikar, the first Kannada woman to face imprisonment in 1930, totally shattering societal norms. Balleri Siddhamma endured rigorous imprisonment and brutal police beatings without ever backing down. And we absolutely have to mention Umabai Kundapur. She fearlessly sheltered underground fighters in Hubballi. But what's really amazing is that after independence, she gracefully rejected the freedom fighter pension and copper plaque offered by the government.
Her refusal symbolizes the ultimate selfless sacrifice. She fought for freedom, not for a reward. Section 4 now. Kannada language and intellectual awakening. The voice of the movement. So, physical bravery was paramount, sure. But the intellectual awakening? That was just as critical. In Karnataka, Nudi, the Kannada language, became a truly formidable weapon. During the 1924 India National Congress session in Belagavi, which, by the way, was the only session ever presided over by Mahatma Gandhi, this iconic song by Huilgol Narayananaro was sung. Udayava Gali Namacheluva Kannada Nadu, meaning, may our beautiful Kannada land rise. This beautifully intertwined regional pride with the broader national awakening. They were literally using the Kannada language to ignite a fire in the hearts of the people.
And this intellectual battle was fought fiercely on paper too. Figures like Allur Venkatarao, affectionately known as the Karnataka Kulaparohita, or the High Priest of Kannada, wrote powerful texts like Karnataka Gata Vaibhava to remind Kannadigas of their glorious past. He was building a strong cultural nationalism. Alongside him, brave journalists like R.R. Divakar and Mohere Hanamantaro constantly evaded British censorship to run underground presses. They proved that journalism and literature were absolute cornerstones of the freedom struggle.
Section 5. Inspiration of philosophical principles, ancient wisdom meets modern struggle. Now you might be wondering, how exactly do ancient philosophical texts provide the ethical backbone for a 20th century resistance? Well, in the 20th century, Gandhi championed Swadeshi, the idea of self-reliance through spinning the charkha and boycotting foreign goods. But for the people of Karnataka, this wasn't a brand new concept. They connected it directly to a 12th century philosophical poem, or vachana, by Basavana, which preached kayaka, meaning work is worship. This ancient, homegrown wisdom gave deep moral, cultural, and spiritual weight to the modern Swadeshi movement. It made Gandhi's message instantly resonate with the local masses. To weaponize this history, scholars like Thiye Gu Halakati, known as the Vachana Pitamaha, painstakingly traveled from village to collect, compile, and print these ancient 12th century vachanas. This wasn't just some academic exercise. It was a highly deliberate act of cultural defiance. By reviving this fundamentally democratic and egalitarian literature, he helped break the chains of British intellectual slavery, reminding Kannadigas of their inherently free roots. Finally, Section 6. Mysore Wodeyar's Contribution to the Union, Graceful Integration and Progressive Rule. You know, independence wasn't just about fighting the British. It was also about how power transitioned afterwards. True leadership is knowing exactly when to step back. Nalwadi Krishnaraja Wodeyar was so progressive, championing education and welfare, that Mahatma Gandhi himself hailed him as a Rajarshi, or saintly king. When the time came, his successor, Jaishamara Rajendra Wodeyar, gracefully signed the Instrument of Accession, merging his massive and wealthy Mysore state with the rest of the country without a single fight. Even the smaller states showed immense character. The Jamkhandi royal family, for instance, was the very first princely state in the Deccan region to unconditionally hand over power to their people. They put the dream of a united India way above their own crowns. So, as we bring this whole narrative full circle back to the Habali flag we started with, the takeaway is crystal clear. From the 16th century naval battles of Rani Abaka, through the sacrifice of common farmers in Esaru, the intellectual fire of Kannada journalists, right up to the official tricolor being woven in Habali today, Karnataka was never just a bystander or a mere participant. The Kannada land, its brave people, its vibrant language, and its profound philosophies were literally foundational pillars in the massive struggle for India's independence. Knowing this incredible, rich legacy of the Kannada land, a legacy built on fierce independence, deep intellectual thought, and total selfless sacrifice, how will you carry its spirit of unity and progressive defiance forward in your own life today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next one.